Following that breaking news out of the Southern District of New York, where Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years for sex crimes involving her ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of procuring women and young girls, young women, for Jeffrey Epstein so he could sexually abuse them. There's no other way to put it. And Michael Bryant of the Law and Crime Network was actually down there at the federal courthouse for this sentencing. So Michael, tell us what was going on. What did it seem like? What did the mood seem like when Ghislaine Maxwell received that 20-year sentence from Judge Nathan?
Yeah, it was, as these things go, and there's a lot of buildup. It was
Right.
2.5 hours from the time the hearing began. And so a lot of anticipation. But the biggest moment, aside from the actual sentence being pronounced, was when Ghislaine Maxwell made a statement. She made one heck of a statement. If you didn't know better, you would think she was addressing, some of the highfalutin society dinner club. She acknowledged all of the victims who gave very heartbreaking statements as well. She acknowledged that Epstein is an animal and a monster, and he manipulated people. Bottom line is, she came off as, hey, I'm just one of you. I'm just one of the victims here. And there was no real remorse. There was acknowledgement of all the things that these folks went through. No real responsibility. And that's key to the sentence that was imposed, because the judge said just before imposing that sentence, I saw no responsibility being taken by this defendant. And the guidelines would have given her somewhere between 18 and 19 years, give or take. So there was an upward departure of sorts by the judge herself. And I really think she tied it to the fact that this eloquent statement that was made did not involve any acceptance of responsibility for what these victims had gone through.
I don't find that completely surprising, given what we've seen from her counsel in this case and some of the statements that have been made in court documents and things like that. Michael, I am just stunned that she actually spoke. Obviously, at trial, it's much different. You have a Fifth Amendment right. You don't have to get up there and testify and incriminate yourself, possibly. But still, the fact that she spoke at sentencing and painted herself as a victim is stunning to me. Prosecutors actually wanted 55 years. They wanted an upward departure. So, wow, I'm just absolutely floored by what you're saying. Tell us a little bit of what what did the victims in this case have to say? I can only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, they all paint this just horrible history of first meeting Ghislaine, and then through Ghislaine, Epstein, and then just the sexual abuse began almost immediately. And they were all in a point in their lives where they were vulnerable. They needed friends or money or acceptance, and they were given all of those things. And oh, by the way, here's some rape and molestation along the way. Sarah Ransom gave a tremendous a speech, as it were. There were two survivors that spoke that were not technically part of the trial because they were of age at the time these crimes against them took place, but the court allowed them to speak. Sarah Ransom was one. She's from England, had just a very heartfelt message to give. A little more spitfire came from Elizabeth Stein, who has been suffering in silence till the day the verdict came down. She came to this courthouse from Philadelphia almost every day during the trial, sat in silence in the back of the courtroom, not telling anybody about any of her life experiences. And then when the verdict came out, she came out. And we're going to have a great opportunity to chat with her and share that with our Law and Crime audience a little bit later. So they both shared one core message, which was, you beat us down, you broke us, but we're still here, and we're coming back strong, and you can't take that away from us.
Mike, did you see any type of reaction or hear, how sometimes you can just hear it in someone's voice from the judge, or was the judge just pretty matter of fact about this? Did the judge have any words for Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yeah, this judge is very matter of fact, and she was, and as close as she got to being what I would say is emotional or even irate was in her reference to Ghislaine not really showing any sort of responsibility. But all in all, and we've seen some fiery judges pronounce some fiery sentences, she really wasn't in that category. It was pretty straightforward. She dotted all the I's, crossed the T's, and took quite a while to go through everything leading up to that pronouncement of the sentence.
Well, Michael Bryant, you were the guy on the scene there. So is there anything we haven't covered that you think is important? Because I'm sure there was a lot going on and a lot to take in as you're watching this proceeding unfold.
Yeah, I think, there's that certain sigh when it's all over. This is, the punctuation to a very long story. It's not really an exclamation point. It's more of a period. There's more that feeling of finally, this is done. And I should point out that there was an additional fine levied against Ghislaine Maxwell of $750,000. That's $250,000 per ultimate conviction, based on what is believed to be a $10 million bequest given to her by Jeffrey Epstein. So she may not have seen the money yet, but already $750,000, and that's going to be gone in a fine to this court.
Interesting.